Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
We're all locked in now.
Your home for the best sports radio in Utah is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to kick off your afternoon drive with Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Allow me to introduce the best of the best.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Not funny. Not funny at all.
Well, there's no good songs about Cleveland. Cleveland rocks, I guess.
Well, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Yes, Cleveland rocks. The intro to the Drew Carey sitcom.
Ohio by Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Dude, I'm not kidding. I was watching Major League last night. The song in that about the Cuyahoga River. It's a good song. Better than this garbage. All right, am I going to have Taylor Swift's New York song today, too?
Should do all New York all day.
No.
Why not?
No. I mean, okay. Let's dive right in. Listen, I am so frustrated that I have now fan buy-in to this series.
Yeah, you care.
I hate it.
You made a mistake.
I hate it so much. That game was awful.
Incredible.
Awful. I mean, absolutely awful. I have to cheer for James Harden of all people. In my opinion, Ben, the most obnoxious player that I've been forced to watch for how many years now?
Been in the league a while.
Obnoxious off the floor.
Yeah.
Obnoxious on the floor. And here I am.
Your happiness invested.
My
notorious
yes.
playoff choker, James Harden.
Yes. Invested in James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. And you know what? I will admit.
Oh, Donovan!
I will admit that I defended Donovan Mitchell when people were talking about him getting the rep for blowing games. I did. I defended him.
Yeah.
What are you doing? up 22 with 7.5 to go. What? That's got to be the most epic collapse. That's like the Falcons against the Patriots level.
Yeah.
Epic collapse. I don't know. Have you read about where it is in history?
It's the second highest in the play-by-play era in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. Grizzlies lost a 24-point lead to the Clippers a long time ago.
What's worse, losing a playoff series or losing a playoff game like that, or losing a playoff series because you get an 8-second call? Both have happened.
Yeah.
In Donovan Mitchell's career.
I
Epic collapse.
I was not thinking of the 8-second call, which happened in the bubble, and he said, it's never going to happen to me again. I was thinking the Trey Mann game, obviously, or Terrence Mann game, draining threes in the corner. And now that did close out a series and end the Jazz's opportunity to go to the conference
finals. That wasn't
finals.
on Donovan, though.
No, it was not. But I do think of these very painful collapses. Jazz were up 20 at the halftime in that game, and I thought last night, I bet you last night's game supplants the Terrence Mann game for Donovan.
Sure.
It's like that was way more painful. It's his hometown. Team was healthier than the Knicks seemed to be. OG Anunoby, though he had a very strong close to the game, was belabored once again with whatever he's dealing with. This was his opportunity to, A, show that he belongs in the conference finals, and then B, close a game. And closing a game for Donovan would have been basically do anything. Do anything.
Okay. Now listen.
Oh, Donovan!
I am going to take some of the responsibility off of Donovan Mitchell because there are two other culprits for that loss.
At least.
That own more responsibility than Donovan Mitchell. Two in particular.
Okay.
One, Kenny Atkinson.
Yes.
who, you know what, I thought was a pretty decent coach when he was at Brooklyn and overachieving.
Won 64 games or whatever last year with Brooklyn. Everyone thought, or with Cleveland, everyone thought, this dude, I can't believe this guy hasn't had whatever head coaching job he's wanted.
Dan Gilbert should have kicked in the door and fired him on the spot. I don't know if I've seen a word like, I don't know if I've seen bad coaching cause a collapse more directly than Kenny Atkinson.
You remember the Mike Budenholzer last game coaching Milwaukee in the playoffs, I believe, against the Hawks?
Where he lost
against the Heat?
Lost his sibling and forgot how to coach?
He just And again, there was like some background, like his brother had died the week before in a car accident, a freak, sad, horrible thing. And he literally freezes after a timeout or after a free throw when they need to advance the ball, and he has one, and he just doesn't use it, if I remember correctly what happened, to like get some different players on the floor, and he doesn't do it. That was the other time I thought of last night watching this game as well.
Unbelievable not to call a timeout. Every person who's ever watched a basketball game before in their life was screaming at the television, call a timeout.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Call a timeout. So Kenny had this to say after the game talking about his timeouts.
Yeah, I like to hold my timeouts. I mean, I didn't want to have one timeout at the end of the game, 1 or 2 point game. I try to hold them, Yeah,
I held him, 2 of them in his pocket at the end of regulation.
Died with a couple of timeouts.
What?
Uh-huh.
That was his explanation.
And that's the thing, Kenny. It was a 2-point game at the end of regulation. The thing you said you wanted it to be, it was. Now, we can keep going through this. We can revisit the timeouts because I actually think there is a somewhat logical answer for why he didn't call the timeouts.
Okay.
That's Kenny.
Kenny botched it. I mean, okay, so here's the 2 culprits are related because one of the reasons that you call a timeout is because James Harden is out there burping up glitter and getting beat on every single play. The only reason they were able to come back is because they were torching James Harden on every play. And Ben, if you want to get nuanced, they were switching so high on the floor. They didn't need to just automatically switch all those things. I mean, they just mild coaching adjustments to get somebody else guarding Jalen Brunson. I mean, they're just walking up the floor. They get a pick way high out on the floor, and somehow they're switching.
Every time.
Yep. So, yes, call a timeout to stop momentum. But you needed a new answer for the guy who was single-handedly bringing the other team back in the game. What are you doing? What? And then now this is my favorite clip, Ben. So James Harden, by the way, is culprit number 2. Here's Kenny talking about sticking with James Harden down the stretch.
No, listen, he's been one of our best defenders in these playoffs. I trust him. Smart, great hands. Didn't think about that.
Fired.
You're done.
Fired. I would hope there's not a coach on this planet that looks at James Harden and the way he fats his way through the defensive possession and goes, that's one of the better defensive players on the team. So either Kenny's on drugs or he is incompetent. Either way, I don't know how how do you single-handedly lose a conference finals game basically as a coach and not resign? He would be better off as Kenny, where you can't understand him.
Can't understand anything he says. Again, to reset, and I'm sure you've heard it by now, the Cavaliers were up 22 points with 7.5 minutes left to go, and allow a 44-11 run over the final 8 minutes of regulation and 5 minutes of overtime, and somehow lose this game by double digits. Lose 115-104.
It should be impossible.
But they found a way to do it.
Because the coach didn't know what to do, or the coach didn't do his job, or don't get me hanging on to timeouts. Is he insane?
Okay, so here's my theory on the timeouts. He didn't want to call a timeout to allow the Knicks to make a substitution because he liked the concept that as long as Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are on the floor, we have an advantage because those two players are also pure trash on the defensive end. They are awful defensive players. It's amazing to watch them struggle through a series because they are bad. And Kenny can say, wow, as long as they're on the floor, they have two miserable defenders. One's a point of attack guy and one's their rim defender. As long as they're on the court, we should be able to get whatever we want. And they didn't do it. They weren't able to accomplish that.
Well, get whatever we want except
points, stops, baskets,
a stop.
Everything. Yeah.
A stop.
Yeah.
You didn't need to score on the other end.
Correct.
You needed a stop.
Correct.
Singular. Multiple stops would have been great. But you were incapable of getting a stop with James Harden guarding Jalen Brunson. Incapable.
So
you got to do something different.
They stick with James Harden. He plays the entire fourth quarter. A, he's bad at defense. B, he's gassed. It's obvious he's gassed by the end of this because
he fell for the donut pretty lady trick.
He did. He absolutely did. But Kenny Atkinson, he got captain jacked. He absolutely got captain jacked in two ways. One of them, funny, not on purpose, was that it was amazing how often, and you're exactly right. First of all, they overswitched. I am so angry at switching in the NBA right now because teams overswitch. Defense, this actually was my criticism with the Jazz last year as well, which is you understand what you're doing, but you understand why you're doing it. Like, yes, okay, we're going to switch everything. Tell me why you're doing it. And I think Kenny knows why. I don't think James knows why. I don't think Donovan knows why. I don't think the Jazz knew why they had the assignments that they did last year too often because they would execute this thing and it didn't work, and I don't think they could tell you why it would have worked or why it didn't work. Anyways, that's not on the coach necessarily. That's the players, but the coach is responsible for teaching the players why. So anyways, they're switching everything right after they get past the half court. And when that wasn't working, they started double teaming, and that led to all the wide open threes. So they are just so flawed defensively because they start two really bad defensive players in James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. It's a true fatal flaw. And they ran into that last night in the biggest game of the season, and that's one of their problems. But so often, James Harden was point of attack on defense, trying to guard Jalen Brunson, and ended up guarding him the way Royce O'Neal and Ricky Rubio guarded him, which was somehow within two steps, he was behind them. Like they were going for the step back, but they were actually just going all the way to the rim for a floater, push shot, pull up, whatever. It was embarrassing. But at the same point, Kenny got captain jacked because he saw the same thing happening over and over and over and said, you pay James Harden $40 million a year. I can't take him off the floor. He makes $40 million. Well, Donovan makes $40 million. I can't take these guys off the floor. Well, they're playing badly. They're not shooting well. They're not getting stops. Donovan Mitchell did the thing that he always does, which is late in the game, especially when it's falling apart, what does he do? Miraculously starts limping. It's a miracle. He's got the most LeBron James aspect. That's the most LeBron aspect of Donovan.
Yep.
The game is falling apart. Donovan's limping up the floor. Something went wrong. It's my knee, it's my ankle, it's my back, whatever it is. It's some mystery thing. And it happens every time something bad is happening in the game, and it happened again last night. Then have the guts to pull them off the floor. You are the coach. You are trying to win. If you don't win this series, Kenny, if you don't win that game, you might lose your job. So you better have the guts to make the decisions required, A, to win the series, but B, to keep your job, and he didn't do it. He just got absolutely captain jacked because he looked at the salary cap sheet and said,
what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? I pay these guys the most. This is what they do. Yeah, Dennis Schroeder's 1,000 times better defensive player than either of these guys and actually is very good about reading the right spots and holding guys accountable on the floor. He doesn't make $40 million a year. I don't know what you want me to do. My hands are tied.
Even if you leave James in the game, like speaking of Captain Jack, he really tried to figure out how to disguise bad defenders. He really threw a complex scheme at it involving Rudy and all the things. He really thought about it. I would have been more comfortable with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell closing as bad as they are defensively if they would have tried something.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to hide him, figure out a way to have James Harden not guarding Jalen Brunson. Don't switch. How about this? Fight over a pick. How about this? Play
Right.
the drop big. How
Yeah.
about
Get through. Yeah, whatever it
Get
is.
through. Whatever. Play it another way. Call a timeout. Say, hey, we're going to do something different here.
If I'm going to
We're going to
defend
blitz it. What? Something else.
Captain Jack's defense against the Clippers in that series, again, Captain Jack is Quinn Snyder, if you haven't been listening to the show. If you are going to do that, at the very least, the defense for Captain Jack, Quinn Snyder, is that he made Terrence Mann beat them. And Terrence Mann was the worst player on the court. Now, after he hit his fourth three, I might have adjusted my game plan. He let him hit 7, and he didn't adjust his game plan. But the Knicks' entire game plan was, let's see if Jalen Brunson, who is their best player, let's see if Jalen Brunson could just score a bunch of points.
Yeah.
And Kenny said, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, let's see if you can.
And believe it or not, all NBA second team guard, all-star, face of the New York Knicks, who does this. This is the one thing Jalen Brunson does very, very well. He's not a defensive player. He's not like your traditional great point guard averaging, 12 assists, getting everybody involved. He is a ISO scorer late in games who hits big baskets. And Kenny said, do you think you can do it again? I know that's all you do. I know that's how you are, how you own the reputation you have. But let's see if you can do it again. And he just did it again for 7 straight minutes. No, it was malpractice on Kenny's part.
Yes, it was.
But the Donovan stuff was so familiar. It's so bad for what I thought he was going to be able to shake. In fact, I jinxed him because I tweeted out with 8 minutes to go, right after he hit the 3 to put him up by 22 points. This, again, continues to look like Donovan Mitchell playing the best basketball of his career, and a flip had switched with that huge 21-point third quarter he had in Game 4 against the Pistons. He's figured something out. Something has changed.
A flip did switch.
Thanks, man.
A switch flipped. I always say that. And now, this last 8 minutes is going to overshadow everything he did, especially if they lose this series.
Is that like, never mind. Flip, switch. Switch, flip?
The switch flipped. Yes.
Not like a flip, like Phil switched places.
Correct.
Okay.
So, it's a skateboarding problem I have. But I can't believe that we found Donovan in this situation again. But that is his reputation. The same way Jalen Brunson's reputation is, I make big baskets late. And Kenny just let him do it.
What is James Harden's reputation?
Playoff choker.
No.
Horrible defensive player.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not according to Kenny. Best defender in the playoffs.
In the fourth quarter
Lockdown guy.
of this game, James Harden was 1 of 6. Donovan Mitchell was 1 of 4. That's your go-to scorers. Those are the guys you have to come in. They traded for Keon Ellis from the Sacramento Kings this year. And don't get me wrong, Keon Ellis is far from a star. But he is a defensive-minded player. He is a 6'4" wing whose job is to slow down the best scorers in the world. That's why you traded for him, specifically for this situation.
To get stops.
To not have to rely on 2 guys who can't get stops in the backcourt. And when they traded him, I can't remember if it was before or after the Darius Garland trade. But the problem with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell was
They couldn't get stops.
And then they went and got James Harden. And what's the problem?
Can't get stops.
And they went and got Keon Ellis in order to
Get stops.
And they didn't play Keon Ellis, and so they didn't
get stops. Now I will.
It's not that difficult.
I will add something. Now, Ben, I'm pretty familiar with the substitution rules. When can you bring a guy like Ellis into the game?
Any dead ball.
But more specifically during a
timeout.
There you go. So you could have thought, wow, we just need a couple of stops here.
Correct.
To put a lid on the run. Maybe we should put out, I don't know, a defensive player to help us get a stop and then pull him out of the game. All
Correct.
you need is like 2 minutes. You just need a couple of stops.
This isn't a fourth quarter drive in football where unless the offense changes, the defense can't do anything. You know, you're not stuck. You're not trapped by the clock. You either are going to get free throws or turnovers, which both happen, or you have 2 timeouts to stop the clock to adjust your roster as you want to.
Funny how basketball works, isn't it? It's not like soccer where you pull Messi off the field and he's not coming back.
But Kenny fell asleep. He truly fell asleep at the wheel and could not figure out how to stop it.
I think it was peyote at halftime or something. I mean, honestly, either incompetence or on drugs. There's not really another option.
Very tough.
Then to end regulation with both timeouts. Man, Dan Gilbert can sure hire a coach, can he?
Crazy.
Just a cavalcade of bozos.
Crazy.
All right, we'll get to top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com coming up next. Let's see, we're going to talk to Jordan Gusky coming up at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. He covers the Kansas Jayhawks for the Topeka Capital Journal. So we'll talk to him a little bit about Darryn Peterson and what's going on with him as a prospect. We'll get to that at the top 3 o'clock hour. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben, Anderson. I don't like this idea of the New York thing.
There's not that many songs about New York.
Oh, is it a theme today? I didn't even realize.
Major city.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
I just like these songs. I just happen to put them in.
Dude, cheering for Cleveland puts me in a bad mood. Cheering for James Harden puts me in a bad mood. Cheering for a team that blew a 22-point lead with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter really puts me in a bad mood. Having them lose to New York, the gross Knicks of all teams, puts me in a bad mood. And now I got to listen to a reminder every segment? Yeah. Doing a killer job. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com. Brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. Hey, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Hey, number 1, speaking of grumpy, Dave Checketts is not a fan of Utah's Otro Capital deal.
Dave Checketts, who obviously has very intimate understanding of investments like this, and also University of Utah, State of Utah, sports in the state of Utah. Yeah, was a little critical.
You should get the ding for that. Yeah.
I was late getting to it. Yeah.
A little critical of what Utah is doing. Because he's actually not out on the idea of teams getting investments from outside companies, investment companies to help them financially, but it does seem like he's not necessarily in love with the way Utah approached it.
He used the phrase that everybody is pointing out is they sold their future.
Yeah.
Which I think is true.
Here's what he says. And this is, in the Sports Business Journal. He says, it's one thing to do what the University of Utah has done, kind of sell off their sports program because they want a better stadium and they want a basketball building and they want it right now. So they kind of sold off their future. That's different than the kind of investments we are talking about where college sports, if it's possible, to make a big change. And he is talking about, in the rest of this article, the idea of maximizing the ability to have great finances with your sports, which is tied to NIL. He does come out in favor of super conferences and the idea of making that a league in its own, which basically becomes, not the minor leagues, because he kind of knocks the minor leagues here in general, but the idea of having the best of the best competing and what that could do for you financially. But he's not all in on the way Utah is. And this is let me see if I can find the quote. He says at the very top. He says, college sports has got to settle its way a little bit before you invest. And I think that might be where the danger is with Utah. Is Utah got out in front of this. They did it before anybody else. I almost wonder if they're trying to pin the tail on a moving donkey. Like we don't know where sports is headed. We don't know what the NIL is actually going to look like. What are you taking out a loan specifically for? Is it to get the building? Because now it seems like they're punting on the building and they're just going to refurbish. Is it to keep the lights on? Is it to pay players so you have competitive teams? And what type of money is going to be accessible to you in the future? How much are you giving away by signing with Otro Capital? Or how much would be coming your way anyways and you wouldn't owe anyone a percentage of what you've done? Are you taking out a loan for no reason because you would have been okay financially? I hope they're not doing it to try and compete with BYU because I think that's a losing battle.
Well, I'm sure that's part of it because those two schools think of each other often when they make decisions. I haven't liked this thing from the beginning, especially as a more traditional college sports fan. Mm-hmm. I think it should be about more than the money. I mean, we can talk later about the SEC and the Big Ten and what they're possibly going to try and do by splitting off. And, there was supposed to be some altruistic things about college sports that were supposed to mean more. And it breaks my heart that things changed, really. Mm-hmm. It does hurt my ability to be a fan. So I don't like this type of thing to begin with. But why does Utah have to be first? That never made sense to me.
I'm with you.
Why do they have to be the ones to prove the concept? And then second of all, it just seems to me to have flown in the face of something that gave Utah an edge during the reign of the good doctor, Chris Hill.
Which is?
When Utah went into the Pac-12, they were already in a pretty good financial situation. They had to be lean and mean in the Mountain West Conference, and they were, right? You go into Pac-12, and the payday hits. And what was the good doctor's modus operandi? What did he do? He moved slowly. He moved fiscally responsibly. He saved that money. He built one thing at a time. He started basically with the football facility and then moved to the basketball facility and then did one project at a time. He invested in the recruiting budget. Remember when the recruiting budget was so high? He did things in a responsible way where Utah would have an athletic department that was humming from a financial standpoint, as opposed to other schools in the Pac-12 that were disasters. Cal,
Oregon
UCLA, State. Oregon State, these just financial, Arizona, these catastrophes where they can't afford to do anything because they're in such bad shape. Utah has the ability to continue its growth as an athletic department because it was being managed in such a fiscally responsible way. I don't think the good Dr. Chris Hill was perfect. I love it that he comes on our station, which is awesome because I think his voice is a very interesting one to listen to on everything going on because he's been there and done that. But in this case, I think he provided an edge to the university by behaving that way, continuing to behave. Christian just got a giant raise. He's making like $500,000 now.
So you're the one who got the $500,000 contract.
But to continue to operate like he was on a part-time producer's gig, you know what I'm saying? To be smart, even though you get the windfall, it's tempting to go buy the Ferrari, but that can put you in a very awkward spot. Cal got they were forced to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into their football stadium because it was falling apart and failing code or whatever. Did they make a really cool football stadium? No, they didn't. They had to spend all their money on bringing it up to code. And then even the naming rights, they got bilked by your...
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Sam Bankman-Fried took them to the cleaners. That money just disappeared. And Cal, is it any coincidence that they stink all the time because their athletic department is so horribly run? I don't know. You could probably make an argument that this is a fiscally responsible thing to do. But it feels... I'm always uncomfortable spending money you don't have. I'm uncomfortable with that in my personal life.
I'm 100% with you. Very rarely are you going to regret not being hasty with money unless you're the person investing it. And the people investing it is this private equity company, Otro Capital, and they are saying, yeah, we'll lend you money because they know they're going to make money back. So if they know they're going to make money back, why was Utah so willing to give it away? Was it to have I'll pay you tomorrow for a hamburger today?
Well, that's Dave's point.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's Dave's point.
And
they
that's
need
been the
money
fear from day one. Well, and the question is, do they need the money?
I know.
Yeah, they feel like they need it because they need a new basketball arena. They need all this stuff. Do you actually need it?
Do you need to buy the Ferrari, or will a Mazda do? That was the Chris Hill mentality. Was, well, I'm going to spin around in my Mazda for a while.
Yeah. Unless Otro can do something to unlock finances for you that you don't have an ability to do otherwise, I'm very leery of this deal.
When I was in my early 20s, we were at we were out late. Mm-hmm. Or you know what? It wasn't that late, but it doesn't matter to the story.
You're at a day spa with LeBron.
My buddy's student loan check hit his account, and he came out going, "Drinks for everyone!"
I got paid. Yeah.
And I couldn't help but think, like, this is not responsible behavior. It's not what that is supposed to be for.
I'm with you. Yep.
So if they're doing that, then that's a bad idea.
Totally with you.
What's next?
Number 2, in case you missed it, the Cavs blew a late lead. Do you think Donovan Mitchell got flashbacks to getting burned by Brunson when he was on the Mavs?
Yes, we've seen this exact matchup before, which is probably not a great feeling.
But it wasn't Donovan personally getting burned in this case.
No, it's a really bad sign when you're targeting somebody defensively and Donovan is not the number one target.
Yeah, I know.
You have a worse defender on the floor than Donovan Mitchell. And look, Donovan had 6 steals last night. My argument for Donovan has always been, it's okay if you're a bad defensive player, but you've got to be a defensive playmaker at the very least. And steals create layups. So Donovan could make up for a lot of his flaws if he had more games like he did last night with 6 steals. He traditionally hasn't. He's not been a very good steal player. So if you could generate those, it makes up for maybe not being a good point of attack defender. But that wouldn't have mattered in this game because they don't have to worry about Donovan. They just go after James Harden over and over and over. And now it's funny to think that even if you end up with a bad taste in your mouth from James Harden, if the Cavs go on to lose this series, and you think, oh, that's not what we want long term, you might not have him long term, but he does have a $40 million player option for next year. And as we've said, when you are over the tax aprons, the way Cleveland is, the championship window shrinks every season. Not just because of, well, these guys get older and the contracts come up, but because it gets more punitive every year that you're over these aprons. It hurts your future draft picks. It hurts your flexibility, your ability to make trades of any kind, and that's where they're going to find themselves.
Why would you want to call a timeout to give the heavy, out-of-shape guy a resty?
Even if you want to keep him on the floor,
yeah.
let him get a breath.
Let him get a breather.
Let him get 30 seconds. Make Mike Brown wonder if he needs to put Mitchell Robinson on the floor again, because then you can hack Mitch and actually get some stops, which you couldn't do either in the last 7 minutes of the game. So, yeah, just no pressure on the Knicks to alter their game plan at all. And I do worry if you can't trick Mike Brown, that's a bad sign.
Speaking of another bad Cleveland hire, Harden's out there sweating schnapps. Give him a breather. Come on. I was trying to think, Harden likes something sweet, like schnapps.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just orders like straight triple sec.
Yeah. Triple sec. Sugariest thing you can think of.
That's not what that's for, James. I'll just have some.
Oh, Coach, he's sweating schnapps out there. Give him a break.
99 bananas.
It's almost like he is a personal trainer for out of shape people like me. Like where he's just, hey, give James a breather. Nope. He's got to learn. He's got to press through it. 10 more reps. He's like my dang physical therapist. I'm begging for her to, no, quit giving me things to do.
It would be one thing if James had at one point been an elite defensive player and you were saying like, he's done it for his career.
Dig deep one more time, James.
Historically, I think Tony Allen, LeBron James was at one point a very good defensive player. Whoever it is, John Stockton late in his career, Gary Payton. This guy was a great defensive player at one time. I just think he's going to know the tricks. I'm going to leave him out there because I think he's going to be effective. James has never been a good defensive player.
Not one day in his life.
James couldn't play defense when he was 28 in his athletic prime. He's 36 years old.
Wait. Couldn't throw that out. Wouldn't. I've never seen a player with less buy-in.
Yeah.
You think you would be embarrassed being cooked over and over on international television that you would actually put in some sort of an effort? No, dude. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with me.
What's next?
Number 3, there's been a lot of hubbub about the judge that will be ruling on Brendan Sorsby's case because he is from Lubbock and has 2 degrees from Texas Tech, but he has stepped down.
He will not be overseeing this case for it's not arbitration, but the lawsuit by the Sorsby camp that he hopes will allow him to both gamble on sports and be starting quarterback for a team.
Maybe I'm reacting to this in the wrong way, but man, I'm losing faith in our judicial system. You're telling me that a judge is such a big sports fan that he can't unbiasedly rule in a legal case?
To be fair, he did not give reasons for why he's stepping down.
Well, this is why he's doing it.
But it is, and people are putting pressure on him, and I'm kind of offended that it's even a question. Like, Ben, I would hope if a judge was a Jazz fan and something came in front of him having to do with the Jazz, the judge would be able to set aside his fandom for the Jazz.
Gets arrested stealing sunglasses. I would hope a judge can be like, oh, yeah, it's wrong. You don't get to do that. I don't care that you play for the Jazz. You don't get to steal sunglasses.
Right.
George Niang.
Can't a judge be a sports fan? And can't a judge be expected to rule, I don't know, on the favor of the law, which is his job in the first place? But that it's even a question that he has to step down really bugs me. I don't know. Am I looking at it the wrong way?
A little bit, yes, because I actually think it's for what's the word I'm looking for? The visual.
If the judge is invested in a company and it comes before him, yeah, by all means, step down.
The optics, thank you.
He's just a fan. So if a judge here in Utah were a Coke drinker and a case involving Pepsi came to that judge's courtroom, we would expect them to step down. I'm sorry, Your Honor. You need to step down. I saw you drinking a Diet Coke in the lunchroom.
Well, to be fair, there's a chance. We don't know. What if this judge is a donor? In all honesty. And I don't mean, okay, well, he's a donor. That means he can't do his job unbiasedly. I trust that a judge can do their job unbiasedly. But if he does rule against Sorsby and then he's got to go hang out at some Texas Tech bozo donor club and they say, all right, bozos, why isn't Sorsby here? And they all look at Judge Matthews or whatever his name is. That, I guess, you don't want to be a part of.
But a judge just can't blatantly throw the law out and rule because he wants to see Texas Tech have a quarterback.
But maybe that's the thing. He recognizes I can't do my job the right way and not face the bozos at Texas Tech.
Well, he shouldn't be a judge at all.
I can't look at Mo Jaguar and say, I'm really happy with the football team you put on the field, though I'm the reason you don't have a quarterback. Now, that's not the reason they don't have a quarterback. The reason they don't have a quarterback is because Brendan Sorsby loves to bet on his own team. That's the problem. That's Brendan Sorsby's fault. It's not the judge's fault. But I do think the optics of it, thank you for the word, is the reason why he's not doing this, more so than his inability to be impartial. At least the naive American in me hopes that's the case. And I don't mean all Americans are naive. I mean, I want to be naive enough to believe that it's all a fair system somewhere and that people get a real shake when they go to court. I'm just crossing my fingers, blind faith that that's still a thing, and that's why he's doing it.
Your example about a player coming up in front of a judge is a funny one. Yeah, I know it was a DUI. I know it was pretty bad. I gotta let you off. Go Dolphins.
It's a big game tomorrow. Yeah, we got a big one this weekend. So we're gonna let you get back out there.
If judges can't be impartial because they are sports fans, then we really have a bigger problem on our hands.
We're in trouble.
We're in real trouble. Yeah. All right. Stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. Top of the 3 o'clock hour, Jordan Gusky is going to join us. He covers Kansas for the Topeka Capital Journal, and we'll ask him what kind of prospect Darryn Peterson is. Stay tuned. More Jake and Ben next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I drive my bus in a busy city. That's why road safety is so important to me. I know that I must slow down and be extra careful when I make a wide turn. Buses need more room than cars. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're driving, remember to give buses plenty of time and space to finish turning before driving ahead. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
All systems go. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day. We're going to talk a little, Kansas Jayhawks sports with Jordan Gusky coming up in the very next segment. Ben, you always think they're going to win you win the league, win the Big 12 in football every year.
Rock chalk, baby.
You can see if that's going to happen this year for your Jayhawks.
This is the year.
Is it?
I don't know. But, I'm excited to talk to Jordan Gusky, get an idea of what the expectation was for a player like Darryn Peterson and then what they got and how he's going to be viewed. Because AJ's legacy at BYU, just in this era, has been stellar. I thought AJ aced his audition, or probably not, it's not an audition anymore. I think this chapter is complete in his life. He was phenomenal.
Well, he'll have a warm relationship with BYU for as long as he wants one. I think the Jayhawks faithful, and we're going to talk to a writer, so not a fan, but I think Jayhawks fans hate his guts.
Yeah, I kind of think that might be part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Absolutely is not going to have a healthy relationship with Kansas going forward 100%, and then whether it's justified or not.
Then we have to parse out, is that because those people are lunatics, or are they justified? And that this is the type of player who, whenever he leaves, everyone's like, nobody liked.
Yeah.
Nobody liked that guy when he was gone. That's going to be the question. Is he going to be that player everywhere he goes? Or was this really bad circumstances for 6 months that never got figured out, and he just kind of has a weird taste? I'm trying to figure out other players who came through Utah or had brief stints that maybe seemed ugly, but aren't necessarily a good explanation of who that player is. Maybe the closest I could get is how Cleveland fans probably view Carlos Boozer. I don't think Carlos is a bad guy at all. I think he made weird decisions. I think he operated with some different priorities than maybe some people expected him to.
He wasn't popular here.
But he wasn't that popular
when he
here.
was here, and he was really good. He was not necessarily that popular because of the way his first year went, which is comparable. Now, I think Carlos's ailment was much more understandable than Darryn Peterson's, but it was similar. He wasn't playing because of his hammy. The Jazz were having a terrible year. He took the brunt of the criticism because he was not on the floor. The Jazz were calling him a softy cakes. And part of it wasn't his fault because he was coming after John and Carl, who never missed games. Mm-hmm. And he really was a lightning rod from the very beginning. And then when he was playing well, seemed like his flaws were always the topic of conversation instead of his good things. Mm-hmm. Everybody liked to talk about Carlos's defense for a good reason, or talk about Carlos disappearing in the playoffs for a good reason. But he did not leave here a popular player. I think people look back in the rearview mirror much more positively about Carlos than they felt actually at the time. Maybe that happens with Darryn Peterson, but this story is like that on steroids.
No doubt about it.
I mean, Carlos had a hamstring injury.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Darryn Peterson's pulling himself out of games, and he's missing them because of cramps and all this weird stuff.
Yeah.
Listen, sports are funny because you talk yourself into things because of the athletic ability or whatever. But the whole creatine cramps thing seems to me like you're really trying to thread the needle to explain something that was unexplainable.
Mm-hmm. Or you're unwilling to explain it.
And so if you're a Kansas fan, he's going to get the blame for this whole crappy season. I almost guarantee it.
Yes, no question about it. They underachieved this year as well. Why? And while I think BYU underachieved this season with maybe not the most talented roster they've ever had, but some of the best top-end talent they've ever had and maybe the best player they've ever had, no one looks at AJ and says, wow, hated that.
No.
That was a disaster. I thought AJ was great. We had this conversation last week. Do you think it was a success? Based on the idea that they didn't go far in the playoff or in the tournament run. He's going to be the number one overall pick. Is that enough to justify the investment? And I think you made the great argument, and I totally agree with you, 100%. That was worthwhile. If BYU could do that again, they should. If Kansas could do this again with Darryn Peterson, would they? The answer is probably no.
Oh, I think they still would.
And then you got to figure out if you get the exact same result.
Yeah.
If you knew this result was going to be the same, I don't know if they would. It's a good question for our next guest. But are they the player that is so talented when they're on the floor, but every time they leave, you're happy? And that's a James Harden problem. No team's ever missed James Harden after he leaves. Now, that doesn't mean your team gets better, but no team's ever like, man, it was way more fun to have him around. That could be an issue for Darryn Peterson. Some guys aren't fun to have around. Some guys aren't fun to play with. And I have no idea. And it doesn't seem like anybody has any idea about Darryn Peterson, which is why I'm excited to talk to him.
I just saw this. See that Jerry Stackhouse has emerged, according to Mark Stein, as a candidate to be the next head coach of the Bulls.
I have indeed. Hey, man, be really careful of one step forward, two steps back organizations.
Oh, your guy, Jerry Reinsdorf, that is.
He's a true moron.
He's a real
moron.
A real treat.
The White Sox right now are awesome. They're playing great baseball. They're winning games that they didn't know how to win. And the problem is you start to believe it, and I just know they're going to let me down. Okay. I just know we've got this Japanese slugger, Munetaki Murakami, and it's just, I know it's awesome. I cannot wait to watch him. They're going to trade him at the deadline. We got some prospects. They're in AA. They're great.
I know we got to go. But didn't Jerry Stackhouse beat up Jeff Hornacek?
Yeah.
I was at the arena for that game. One of the more mild-mannered Jeff Hornacek catches a beating at the hands of Jerry Stackhouse, who was really bad at where was he? Vandy?
Yes, did a bad job at Vanderbilt. Got an assistant coaching job with the Warriors. The agreement in bringing Steve Kerr back was that he could not bring back Jerry Stackhouse.
Really?
Part of the agreement. You can't bring him back. And the Bulls are like, we should hire that guy.
Hire that guy.
We should let that guy drive.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to Jordan Gusky, covers Kansas for the Topeka Capital Journal. Stay tuned, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempowered.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.